Again, thanks for having us here. This has been a really great session, John's section about orchestras. And so I think Marcia and I are having a great time just kind of watching you guys work, and you're taking some stuff all at once as well. So that's just been just wonderful. I know she sat in on Rob's session, and I'm doing that one after this. And so thank you for helping us grow as well. We just really enjoyed that. Just a little bit about what really happened to me, so you know background of what I feel like I have to do to make things work. I taught at junior high and high school in Newcastle, Wyoming, which is the northeast corner of the state, close to where the Black Hills begin in South Dakota. And that was for 2 years in general music in junior high and high school. And there at that time, those groups we would start would be entertainment groups and more on the community, as well as control stuff. So that was just some new Christian minstrels and that kind of stuff. And I played the guitar with enough people for 2 years, and musical director lead guitarist for that. So I took those things with me to Newcastle and created small groups that would go out and perform in the community, and that was a good thing for the community for the camaraderie to be built. And more than that, the outreach in the community, that's what was an important thing to do. Went to Cheyenne East for three years before I went to Casper College. So Casper College is a junior college. There are 7 junior colleges in the state of Wyoming, and they scatter all around the state, from the furthest southeast corner to the furthest southwest corner, up in the central part and the northern part of the state. And Wyoming, Casper is right at the center of the state. I wound up doing an awful lot of honor choirs at both the local levels, the regional levels, in terms of the state itself. Each district is divided. The Northeast District was a group of larger towns. The largest town in Wyoming is 50,000 people. That's huge to us. So this is first 50,000 people in the walls. And it's 10, maybe 15 whole minutes from one side of the town, the next one forever. And then we get grumpy at the 2 or 3 stoplights we have to go through. So it's a totally different thing than it is out here. And listening to John talk about the orchestras, and I didn't even know what a contractor was. We don't work like that in the university. And picking from this orchestra in SoCal, it's as good as a professional orchestra can get. For us, collaboration means all of that. In Helena, when I was there, we would not only the Helena Symphony, but we import from as far south as Casper, which is 8 hours away as far as the drive is concerned. And about 5.5 to fly there. Because by the time I get on the plane in Casper, I've got to be there an hour beforehand, and about an hour flight to Salt Lake City with its layover, and then about an hour and 15 minutes up to Helena. It takes you 5 hours to get there anyway, so it doesn't make any difference. But we import players from all around the state of Montana, and then coordinating those rehearsals, distance for us. I know it might, in fact, we were laughing at it, it might take me as long to get from wherever, an hour and a half drive just to get to the rehearsal, a 2-hour drive in California. And for us, 2 hours is probably 140 miles. And there's nothing in between. There might be a town that you better make sure your tank is full, because you might not get there. Because of the honor choirs and working at this junior college in Wyoming, I had to develop a group of tools that the choirs had all the time, so that we could refer to those to make sure that we knew what we were doing. And so your handout has, I didn't do a PowerPoint because I have a handout here. In the handout, there are a variety of things that we use as tools that I would incorporate in warm-ups to get them ready to go. Coming to all state choirs, working with them. As you know, as we have conducted honor choirs like that, I have about 15 or 20 of them under my belt in different states and different things we were doing. But you never know what you're going to run into. Sometimes those choirs are prepared, and sometimes they're not. In California All-State, this is a true story. I warmed them up with all the funny games that I always do to try to get them to watch me. The clapping thing I did last night was just another stupid game to get them to watch, to realize that we're going to have a good time, and at the same time, to make sure they're watching what we're doing. So those things we work all the time. What I had to develop was a quick way to accomplish the musicality that we had. So I would arm the choirs with tools that were going to be used later on in the courses. And so this is devoted to being one of them, text emphasis being another, mass vowels. Here's one of the major things that I work with the most when I talk to you. You have a whole bunch of voices. At the California Allstate, I warmed them up and did all my funny games that I do and stuff like that, and then gave it down to me from the first piece. And they came in sounding like a Dale Warren singer. And they were beating like, oh my God, now what am I going to do? Because they were really very, very well prepared and afforded us an opportunity to spend more time being involved in music, but they still need the tools that would make things go quickly, if that makes sense. So I'm trying to get them to work with a variety of different tools and have them ready to go, and I can just refer to those things and make it work better. I had to become very, very quick in that same circumstance at home because the men's course that I was talking to you about met once a week for an hour and a half. That's it, on Wednesdays. So our programming was set up in such a way that they became the outreach group. So the first concert was a group of 20 minutes worth of music, 25 minutes worth of music that was community friendly, entertainment type music, doo-wop music, barbershop stuff, things that were related to men's courses. That was our first concert. Then we kept that and added to it an outreach to the community while we prepared more classical, more men's course related things that they should be studying for the remainder of our concerts that went out throughout the season. There were 4 concerts. The fall presentation, which was appropriate types of music, the Renaissance Feast, which was Renaissance music, and some of the things that were part of it as well. Music of the World concert, where I tried to throw as many languages as I could. And even John mentioned the children's course in this session. He looked at it and said it looked like a German, what do you call it, a German?
The Marshall's Choir looks like the German National Children's Chorus. Compared for us who live in California, when you look at all those Caucasian faces,
they're all blonde.
For those of us who teach, it's just an amazingly different look.
Well, and then when I came out to the California Allstate and we did Whitaker's Cloudburst, it's in Spanish. And so many things are in Spanish there. I gave it down and I even told the students that as far as this is concerned, wait a minute, I'm in California. There is somebody in this chorus whose first language is not English. There's somebody in this chorus who probably is as fluent in one of the languages from an Asian language as they are in English. I'm in a totally different setting. And in that circumstance, I try to acknowledge that for them. When that happened, I think that the Allstate kids took ownership of what, if that makes sense, took ownership of the chorus. And I think that was a really important aspect of what we do with that. But the tools that I had to use, I met with my major chorus, the top chorus at Casper College, for an hour and a half, twice a week. That's what I got. I don't know how that compares to your schedule or your junior college folks that are here that have that to do, but we had that much time. As chorus master of the Helena Symphony, I was required to prepare the choruses for everything that we had to accomplish. And Alan Scott is a maniac. He grew up in the Philadelphia area watching and emulating. His favorite place to be is in the pit for the operas. That's where he started. But he brought an East Coast, I have to say a West Coast mentality to a little town in Montana called Helena, which is a very artsy town as far as that's concerned. But it was a typical, common, ordinary, everyday community chorus. You got it? That's what we had. The first concert that we did, we started in September after Labor Day. At the end of October, we did Carmina and Chichester songs because the orchestra played something to begin with, and then the chorus of Chichester after that. This is a community chorus. What was that, about 8 weeks? About 8 rehearsals. And the rehearsals are spread out. Once a week, we meet in Helena. So that means we have 3 steps forward. We go a week later, we take 2 steps back. And then we go ahead, and this is how these rehearsals went. So I had to develop a bunch of tools that they could work with so that we could accomplish things quicker. And I had to learn how to do things fast. Let me tell you what the repertoire was from your typical community chorus in Montana. A bunch of yahoos that come together and kind of like a stage. The first concert was Chichester songs and Carmina. That was at the end of October. At the beginning of November, I had 6 rehearsals to put together the entire Messiah. Okay? They'd done Christmas, so it was kind of okay. They'd done a little bit of Easter. But it's Dr. Pat. Got that? And there was a choir director up there named Dave Gibbs. That's Dr. Gibbs. And I went up to Dr. Gibbs. I'll try to. I've got the Messiah score in my hand. I looked around, didn't want to. Dr. Gibbs is Dr. Henry. I said, Dave, I got the Messiah score. I said, do you know this song? No. There's a bunch of things in there that we don't know, and we don't do all the time. And I ran into things that I didn't know. You can't go to the doctor and call me, but don't think about this side. But neither one of us knew this song. So there were a lot of those things that were going on, so we had to prepare that and make that work together. And throwing in that it had to be fast. Because we had that much time, those 6 weeks, maybe 6 rehearsals, maybe 7 more, to prepare the entire Messiah. In January, we started back up again, and it was Coronation Mass with Mozart, and Goretzky, Taverner, a few of those things, because the cathedral, St. Helena, and Helena is an absolutely gorgeous place, and that's where we performed Messiah, and we did also the Coronation Mass later on. The opera that year was Sweeney Todd, so I prepared the choruses for Sweeney Todd, and that was performed in March. And then in April was Mahler 2. Yes, Mahler 2 was in April, and am I missing something? No, I'm not. So that was the first season that I conducted. I had to prepare in Helena, Montana, with a bunch of gay dudes who liked to come in and sing. But I auditioned, and I knew the repertoire. I looked at them in the audition. I said, "So, how do you feel about this?" And the looks on their faces were just aghast. They were ashen, because they had never done that much before. Neither had I. So when John talked about preparation, I know what that was, because boy, I actually learned by fire just how to get this done. Alan is 35, at that time, 35-year-old snot-nosed kid who every note on the page, everything the way that you talked about, every articulation was in place, everything was ready to go. And the phone calls, because there was no way to do it, I'd be on myself on my way to work, and he'd be singing in my ear all the articulations we're going to use on this particular movie at that time while I'm driving to work. So I had to remember all this stuff. How could I possibly get all of them prepared, all the things that we needed to get done in the amount of time we had, was the question that I did. So as time went on, I began to arm the choruses with more of the standard things that we usually do, such as stand. Such as give us a track. Let's just say so sing like this. Go. Sing like this. Then conduct it. Go. Very nice. Would you match all your vowels? So sing with your ears. Would you own this tempo? So every note was a crescendo. I call that the voce. I mean, that's what everybody call it. What you call it all the time. It had to become automatic with the choruses because we had to do that. I find out that what message of voce really is the beginning of whatever espressivo means. Does that make sense? Because espressivo means expressive. Expressive of what? Well, we don't know. It depends on what the piece of music is and what we're trying to do. We just know it's supposed to be expressive. If we start there, the other things I found out about choruses and the way to do it in Helena and at home especially, the discussion comes up with, as we move into history and history comes forward, do choruses get louder? Maybe. How does vibrato fit in with all this? Are earlier choruses, earlier eras without vibrato? I don't know. How do we do all that? Can we sing that same thing? Now let's say that what we just did on a scale of 1 to 10 dynamically was about in the 8 category. Does that make sense to you? Would you come down to 3? Let's sing sol, fa, mi, re, do, whatever you think that is. 8 being loud, 10 being loud, and 1 being soft. Ready? Go. Sol, fa, mi, re. Sol, fa, mi, re. Ready? And go. Sol, fa, mi, re, do. I didn't hear crescendo, decrescendo on every note. Make sure we hear crescendo, decrescendo on every note. Go. Sol, fa, mi, re, do. I noticed that when you put a crescendo, decrescendo on every note, you slow down because you own the tempo too. Ready? Go. Sol, fa, mi, re, do. Good. And I also think that as one of the other tools, first of all, message de voce has to be in place. And it's constant. It always has to be there. I can't find anything where message de voce isn't in place. Sit down for a second. Is this thing on? This piece of music isn't in here. Let's take it. Let's just listen for just a few minutes. Listen. This is Dale Warren. I want you to listen to it again. And this time I'd like you to listen to the 8 notes as they go by. And see if you hear a movement on every note. See if it changes at all. Listen. Perfect. Did you hear motion on every one of the notes? It's there, and it's automatic. Let's do something else. What else is right? Let's try it out. Let's listen to Chuck Coffey for a minute. Open your ears. That's enough, I think, for that. It gives us an idea of what, if you'll go back and listen again to not only choruses, but listen to orchestras, you'll hear the natural crescendo, decrescendo that they fight all the time with the bow. Try to make sure that they can carry a line across like that. But you'll hear that natural movement of each one, movement of voice, and everything they're doing. So that tool had to be in place for the choruses before I could ever start to do anything else with them to make sure that that was there. Text emphasis became something that we would spend a lot of time on as well. It was very simple. Circle one part of the word that's important, underline the one that's a little bit less important, do something there, and all that was planned out beforehand in my scores, so we would take them through that, and they would then have the tools in place. One of the other things I did, especially if I was working with a collaborative pianist with whatever we were doing, I would try to make sure, especially in the honor choirs, instead of kind of being prepped out from the beginning, I would want them to see our processes together. So I would conduct the piano show what we're doing. Let's just for a moment, I'm going to start with, could you find, let's see, each steering octave of the rounds that I've got. And Travis, could you just go to that for a second? I think it's in the packet of CPDL. There's a packet of CPDL.
This one, 2 pages.
It's 2 pages.
2017.
Like on the book. Find it? There you go. Here's what I do. I make sure that I wanted the chorus to hear how it's supposed to go. So in order to rest their voices when I'm working with an honor choir, or even the Catholic College choir, if I would have the women's chorus twice a week for 50 minutes, or the men's chorus once a week for 90, or the collegiate chorale twice a week for 80 minutes. I had to pack all that stuff and get the repertoire ready the amount of time that we had. Let me see if it's ready to go. Stop. In anything that we were doing with that, thank you, sir. Whatever I would be sure that we did that in front of the chorus. And there are a couple of reasons to do that. What would be one of them? Pardon me? Join their ears.
I think you understand the connection between what you're doing and what's happening when you're watching it, even in a different way than you do it.
Correct. That's right. I really like that. That's very strong. Anybody else?
Travis,
I'm sorry, Travis.
you were showing the phrase, you were showing what you want to be singing.
Right. There's one other very important aspect, and that is that we are a team. We are a team. So therefore, this is no longer the compass. There is no such thing. You're alone, no, you're not. This is an integral part of what we're doing. And so whoever sits here, I want the chorus to realize that all of us are working on this together. So that's why I include, and I did that at the California Allstate, and there were several pieces were accompanied. But the ones that we did, I tried to make sure that they saw that we were working together and that this was all a collaborative effort. So sometimes I don't have everything all planned out, but we've not rehearsed it to save time that I want to give them the opportunity to rest their voices so they can see what's going on as far as where we're going and how important we are all together, if that makes sense. So we'll come back and sing that in a moment. We'll get back to what text emphasis, text de-emphasis. I have so much with Mozart, what a pain in the accent. I didn't know you well enough to actually title the whole thing that way. What I was planning on doing is titling this thing Mozart, what a pain in the accent. And it's D, it's deep C. But Mozart puts the seat of deep C on count 1 or 3 per time. So how do we keep text alive what we're supposed to be doing to make sure that we're not singing all the things the same emphasis all the time? And part of that, I was trying to show that visually what we were doing and work with that to make that quick and make it accomplish that as well. Text de-emphasis on that whole thing that says there, literally text or syllables that carry less emphasis, related to musical phrases to the artistry of the composition. Does the composition possess an effective merit through text and music? Composers that have withstood the test of time still challenge us in this area. 3/4 time or 4/4 time, and this is Jerry McCoy talking to you about 1 is strong. What's the strongest in 4/4? What are the strongest beats? 1 or 3. Where do 2 or 4 fall? Which is stronger, 2 or 4? 4 because it's moving to 1. So we know all that. And those things are the most important things we have to communicate with the students so they know how that works. Matched vowels. Marcia came up with the mirrors and gives the children's chorale all these mirrors, gives the chorus all these mirrors. So look at the vowels and get the mirrors up, and they can actually see that. I don't have mirrors, so I have them turn and face each other. That was always the case. For somebody that I work with in heritage festivals, if we want to get our choruses to work with more energy, I want them to be moving and more comfortable with what they move, I split the chorus up in half and have them look at each other across the room. And then pretty soon their eyes can do that. They're going to see how that works. But the matching vowels is the main thing. The vibrato, yes, no, when, how much. Vocal help and safety. It's literally a musical effect involving a slight pitch variation, which is accomplished in various number of ways. Slight pitch variation. Do you think of a vibrato as that? Is that right? Yeah. Can the vibrato be above the note? Can it be below the note? Can it be too loud?
Yes.
My goodness. So, some of you experienced this then. Community choruses. I mean, also, with Marcia and I have talked a lot about this. Where do you place those voices whose vibratos are so out of control? We have to work with that. And then how do you approach that to make sure that we take care of them? Because the last thing I want to do is push people out of the chorus. So don't do that. Especially in the community chorus, where in Denver, the community chorus ages range from about 85 down to maybe, there's some 30-year-olds in there. Daughter Amelia is 33 and her husband's 34. And there's a few that are like that. When they came in, they changed the average age from 70 to about 64. So this is the chorus I'm working with there, who still loves to sing. So I place the ones with those vibratos right here next to me. So I can just, with a conducting gesture, try to get them straight things out just a little bit more. Or we'll try to do things with vibrato with numbers. 1 is very little vibrato, if any. 10 is open up, and we never sing 10 on anything. Volume or anything like that. So, but try to get those folks to where they can feel a comfortable part of what they're doing. And then I had to make sure that I accomplish things in such a way with my voice faculty, so we take care of their voices as well. Straight tone is not something our voice faculty ever taught, but they sing it. Our voice faculty is very good at that. Of course, and Marcia has one of our voice faculty, two of our voice faculty members in her women's chorus. And they'll sing all those things. How do we do that, and how does it apply to the music that we sing? How loud is this music? Here's something else. We have a tendency to think that as we move into the romantic era, music got louder. That may be true, it may not be true. I don't think that's necessarily true all the time. I think that especially when we're doing music like Instrumental, or from the romantic era, like I brought another one that's Morgan. Strauss. Morgan. I brought that because I wanted you to see. I think it depends on what room we're in. At the last ACCA Northwest Convention, one of the choruses came out and sang, they went through the eras of music like they're supposed to. It was entertaining and wonderful. There was movement. There was all sorts of different things, including the Renaissance pieces that they did. When we got to Brahms, it was a room that was about twice as big as this, and they just blew the hair off of everybody in there. And I thought, I don't think that's, I think there's a way for us to understand it. I think that the way they thought was, wherever they were, they would adjust for that particular room and make it work that way. I think that the dynamics of things that we demand of that are the things that are appropriate to where you are, what the setting is, and then we put in articulations and stylistic changes as we know how they're supposed to go. The one main thing that I love the most, I think it was Robert Shaw that said, all music must dance. He said, all musics must dance, no matter which ones they are. And I've tried to keep that in as much as we possibly can. But the most important one is, I think, the human element. How do we communicate with kids and the students, especially the students that are young, about what a still night is? Do you know what a still night is in California? Or by the way, ask it like this. Where do you have to go to find one? Here? Listen, please. I bet if we were to go outside, we wouldn't find stillness. In Wyoming, you can't find stillness. I don't care where you are. The only place you can find it is on the big hard mountain up ride that I was just on. And when I have to get up in the middle of the night, colder than you know what, and go to the bathroom, I've got to get out of my sleeping bag in the tent, get outside, and go to the bathroom. And when I did, it was still. Well, maybe not. The stars were huge because we're that much closer to it. Where Marsh and I live is almost a mile high. It's about 5,100 feet where we live in Casper. And from there we go up into the mountains. So our horses were traveling and going up and down hills at 7,000 and 8,000 feet. And then coming back to camp is about 6,500 or something like that. So you're closer to the stars and the sun to begin with, so you're going to be careful about both things. But when I went out, it was starless. I mean, it was cloudless and no moon. So the stars were actually huge, but it was absolutely quiet. And before I went to the bathroom, I listened to that for the amount of time that I could, given the time how long I could wait to get that done. But those silences are things that I think we have to understand. And I believe that music is driven, I think that rhythms are driven by silence, if that makes sense. I think rhythms are really come alive with the silences that we put in between things. Having said all that, let's go through a few tools that I tried to give them when we were doing it. It's a stand music. And then, as melodies go higher, they generally get louder. As they go lower, they generally get softer until we break that rule. So sing. What I like the most about what Marsha did, she had 3 people in different heights. Ready? Could you imagine those 3 people in there? Go. Good. I think you went. Does that make sense? Yeah. I think coming down in dynamics is harder. Message voice must be present. Again, find those 3 people. That's excellent. Can you make sure that you're matching? Ready? Turn to a neighbor. Match your mouths. Watch what happens to you. 1. Here we go. Go. Make sure you follow that tempo. Make sure Mr. Voce is there. Make sure you're matching all the vowels. Ready? Go. In my mind, the tool of Mr. Voce isn't as present as it should be. Does that make sense? Turn and face me. Ready? Sing together. Go. Stop. Whenever you're ready, you can go. Because I think the breath wasn't quite together. I don't think it has anything to do with the vowel itself. I think if the breath is the place it's going to work. Here's your tempo. Ready? Go. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, fa, mi, re, do. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, fa, mi, re, do. More minutes of the voce. strings are armed with, it's a voce, if they're armed with, as the melodies get higher, they get louder, and if they're armed with matching vowels, then they have three of the main things that we have to work with to begin with to accomplish whatever it is that we're doing. Does that make sense to you? Let's apply some of this stuff. Please be seated and take out, from the CPDL stuff, take out El Grito. Why do you put that? Ready, let's try. I'm going to react to what I do. Sit well. I love what Marcia did. One foot in the other. Make sure your chair is there. All right. Pat, good. Would you sing a bit of a forte piano on the first note? Ready? Again, just a bit of one. There you go. Now, let's see what we can do to make this music dance. Would you put that on the notes that we have that are going on? Start with you. 2, ready. Stop. Very nice. Again, you hear every going home, bon con every going home, con Sing again from the beginning, and when you get to the quarter notes, let them bounce and see what happens. Beginning. I think a bounce is just a crescendo, the decrescendo, it's a forte piano, it's a crescendo, decrescendo, decrescendo, and I think it'll dance. Can you look a little happier? 2, ready. Stop. Very nice, very nice. Now, text emphasis. Would you all say cantar? Cantar. Ooh, I like that. Could you put a little Italian gesture? Cantar. Say it. 2, ready. Cantar. Cantore. 2, ready. Cantore. So it's going to go cantore. There you go. Cantore. I'll say no. No. Cantore. Cantore. I'll say so text that. Let's do it again. Now, 3, 2, ready, go. Stop. Here's what I heard. I'd like to hear. Is there a difference? Yes. 2, 3. There's a little space that I'm hearing in between the dotted quarter note and the 8th note. And then you're going to the 8th note, going to the note of least value. Does that make sense? And suddenly the music, at least to me, is dancing. Is it dancing to you? Stand, please. 2, 2, good. Stop. 2, 3. Sorry, go. Stop, that's fine. That's fine. So, be seated. Let me ask you 2 questions. How much vibrato should we use? How loud should we speak? How much vibrato? Not much. What? Not
I
really.
think that's the case. Because, these were written to be sung.
They were.
And I think, the concept of superimposing, not that superimposing, but it's your case. You can sing this music beautifully with vibrato without it.
Plus the fact that if we look at paintings of that era and interpret the fact that it looks like that they were singing without vibrato because of the way the paintings were set up, that has to do with art and its evolvement. We don't know for sure whether or not they sang that with vibrato. We think that.
Now, it's one of the massive approach.
Yeah. This, as dancey as it is, how loud should it be? Pardon me?
Like 3 times faster.
We can do that. Yeah, I've been going kind of slow. You know why? Stop. Is that enough? So I think that's it. If you're, and I agree with all that, because I don't think there's enough. It depends on taste as far as that's concerned. When it becomes quick like this, well, try it. Ready? Forte. Ready. Stop. Don't do that. At least for my taste. You know, I think that this is a little cricket that we just want to kind of hear in the quiet of things. So when we think about that like that, what becomes fun is the diction and how it relates in accents. And the way that we bring accents, it's not so important what you do at the accent, it's more important what you do after it. If there's an accent, what do you do after it? If you want to bring energy to the accent, go away from it when you're done with it. And it'll make it dance more. 2, ready. Is that better? Is that better? That's the way I would, as far as this style of music and in its the dancing with it from the Renaissance era, I tried to get the choruses to have tools that were mezzo di voce, where vibrato was present, but less of it, and understand that these songs were softer. They didn't have to be particularly loud. Sitting around dinner tables and singing this stuff because that's what the aristocracy did. So it's fun to do. Take out the Gloria Patri of Palestrina. This is part 1. This is part 2. Before we start, I have to show you what I did. This is CBL attributed to Palestrina, and it finishes at the top of, well, around the page of the measure 28, top of 4 of this page here. Where it really finishes is with the Amen. At Catholic College, for our Renaissance piece, I I wanted to do a couple of double flat pieces. And I like this because it's a quick learn, and it's kind of flashy without having to be particularly difficult to do. And our Renaissance piece, the black box theater, had a baffle right up here. So I put one choir up here and one choir down here. So we had the depth change of what we were doing and accomplished that. And for the Renaissance piece, the black box theater, which is not an acoustically marvelous place, but it was okay for what we had to do. It's very impressive. But I didn't like the way it ended. So I wanted to change the ending. So here's, if you're going to the coda page, this is says Palestrina, it's live, she writes the pattern. And what I did was write something that was sort of in the style, but would finish the piece of music in a kind of an up way. I don't know if that's illegal or not. I just didn't care. What I did like is that somebody said, you can arrange anything. Who said that? Is that you? I'm not anyway. So you can arrange anything you want to. So I wasn't sure how to present this or anything. So John says today you can arrange anything to applicate act for saying. So would you please look at the code? Glow. Glow. So on page, this is part 1. 1, 2, 3, go. Gloria Patri, Gloria Patri, Gloria Patri, Gloria Patri, Gloria, 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 Gloria Patri. That's together at the end of it, so I have this kind of thing. It's sort of like that. If you look at the form of the song, I start at the beginning, first page. Turn to the second page. Pretty self-explanatory. At the top of the third page, there is 17 or so, it says to coda second time. Turn the page, going on with the song, where it really finishes on Amen. At Amen, there should be a repeat sign there. There isn't one, so put one in, and go back to the beginning. Sing to the coda, and call it good. Now, what I've heard, what I'd like to do is captivate all the things that we just did. Text emphasis, low, calm, that's key. That's going to be natural because it's the 3/4 time. And Palestrina, effective marriage of text and music is in place, so it's simple to do it if the tools are already ready to go. So what tools we just learned in Messa di Voce and in natural text emphasis, apply it right away. Here's your first pictures. Ready? Gloria Patri et Filio, Gloria Patri et Filio, Gloria Patri et Filio, Gloria Patri et Filio. Robert Shaw said all music must dance. I think that the dance comes with the accents. And then what you do after the accent. What I'm hearing is this. Does that make sense? Begin. Ready? Go. Gloria Patri et Filio. Now I notice this time that when we put that accent in, the choir slows down. I'll give you your downbeat, and you sing together. And I believe in this. I believe that somebody else said you've got to surrender your conducting, you've got to get out of there. Get away from it and let them work. I believe it's very important that we allow them to fail. If we don't let them fail, how the heck are they going to know what success is? So we have to let them screw up. Ready? You get a downbeat this time. Gloria Patri et Filio, Gloria Patri et Filio. I found something else out. If you want the choir to sing softly, don't cue them. It's your ballgame now. Start whenever you're ready. Breathe and go. Gloria Patri. You have to get breathe together. You must put all articulations together we've always talked about. Prepare it right now. Breathe and go. Gloria Patri et Filio, Gloria Patri et Filio, Gloria Patri et Filio, Gloria Patri et Filio, che si Measure 17. Measure 17. Ready? Go. Stop. Put the dance in. What am I doing? Are you analyzing what I'm doing? Let me do it again. Go on. That's feeding. Ready? And go. Altos. Altos. Ready? Go. Stop. Dance it. Dance it. And go. One more time. Sing the song. Oh, clean that. But dance it. That's a much better dance. It's a dancing one. Ready? And go. Very nice. Add the tempo to that. Ready? And up. Go. I think you all know this. In their learning their parts, what are we doing as well? Pardon me? Learning to do it together. Establishing phrasing and articulation. Say it again. Lightening the tones will get the subdivision. Are we banging the notes? No. And I think that so many times, at least among some of the friends I have in Wyoming and other places, we have a tendency to make sure they know the notes first and then put the musicality in later. And when Marcia said today, if we don't start movement from the very beginning, you can't put it in at the end. And I really believe that when she was talking about movement, it's not about choreography, or it's not about the same move at the same time. It's about expression and how it comes out in your body. And I think, Lori, for those of us who have been jumping for heritage, when we see choirs come out and there's movement or some expression in their bodies, you can tell that the director from the very beginning has had those students actively but not physically with how they're singing. And as I recall, we have a tendency to compliment that. And so that they're very, very active in what they're doing. It has to come at the very beginning. I don't believe in pounding out notes. In fact, at Casper, they don't read how. If I have a chamber choir, if I stack it up against any one of the universities here or junior colleges here, it's not going to get there. Their reading skills are not present. We don't have a vertical curriculum to teach people how to read music that we probably need. Do you have one in California? At all. So here we are still with that same dance. Let's put that guy away and take out the one that's kind of sure called alto. It's soprano, alto, two tenors, and bass. Stand. Into. Ready. Watch F sharp about the third, fourth, fifth majors. Still F sharp. There we go, like that. There we go. That's better. We'll do it again. Now, incorporate everything that we just did. Look up. So move away from accent note, move away from, see if you like. See if it dances. 2, ready, go. happens is the rhythms are intertwined among the individual parts. You're not all singing exactly the same thing. So what's the most important note? What's the note of least value in this? Quarter note. Quarter note. There are some eighths in places, aren't there? Does it show you what to bring out? So the quarter notes are very important. Is there, we're among a group of people who know the answer to these questions. Are there natural emphases as far as text is concerned? And natural de-emphases as far as text is concerned? Ready, get set, have a good time, and put all that together and see what happens. 2, ready. And if we do, does that dynamic carry the same quality of sound as forte does? My choruses have a tendency to sing lighter vowels when they sing softer, taller vowels when they sing louder. And I tell them to turn that ball upside down. That as they sing softer vowels, they bigger. And if they sing louder, you don't have to worry about so much because they're going to be in place. And I ask them to sing with their eyebrows up. So take the repeat this time and do it again. This time, how quietly can you sing? And can you still dance like Robert Shaw wants us to? Second time, 2, here you go. It's edited presented by David Stocker. driving force that's going on underneath it. It's a time when you tell the altos that they're extremely important, and they're not half the whole foundation of what we're doing. Ready? One bar before that, everybody gets to sing. Alto, you should shine. And here. I think that, given my time frame, I'm done at 2:45, don't I? I'm going to go on with other things, but this is a Bach piece that's not particularly hard, and within it, it carries all sorts of different things that you can teach about who dances, when they dance, how they use the text emphasis that's so important, how it helps us all dance together, and kids can pick that one up. Let's go to Dixie did Mozart. What a pain in the ass. My college kids know that I was coming after California presentation and that I was going to do a section called Mozart. What a pain in the ass. And they laughed on that. Girls like it. Just give us a C. This is what we get. We get from the sub instrument. Ready? Stop. What Alan had us do when we were doing this or anything like this, anytime there was a 16th note like do, minus, there was a lift between it so it would go to it. And it wasn't so much that you think that choral, but that's what happened when the fiddles would change their bows. They would get a space in there, and so you wanted to match all those spaces. Again, ready? Ash. D, C. Stop. That's it, isn't it? D, C. Get there, ready to go. D, C. Maybe D, C. D, C. Space between do and minus. As long as you can sing do and just enough of space to go minus. Go to the note of least value. Do and. It sounds stupid in here, but it does not sound stupid, at least it did not when we were working with orchestra. So I had to change the way I thought. I had to think like whatever was happening there, and I'm pretty great at it. I mean, I didn't know much about what to do. But in those 6 years of Alan, then these articulations happened in Messiah, happened in any other piece of music that we would do. If there was a change in bow direction, we would make space so we worked together. Having said that, now we know message voce, now we know text emphasis and text de-emphasis, and now we know articulations as we're going to match them with the orchestra. Let's sing for a while. Stand up. See what happens. Enjoy. Ready? Attendees. 1, 2. Now we back and put in the spaces where they are and let the music dance for it and see what it gets. Attendees. 1, 2. When the piano plays at what we call staccato or separated, it's a different sound than when the strings do, because these strings are percussive and the violin strings are not. So it's actually even a bit to interpret right from the piano. Play it again and just don't separate it quite so much. We're on that. Like that. I like this guy. I don't care what you say about it. If I try to get that relationship here like this, to let them understand that what we are doing is trying to create the best that we possibly can for them, given they're going to be working with strings and on. Because once strings come in, articulations aren't the same as they are on the piano, and we don't get the same support. Does that make sense? It's different. So the kids get scared. And so if they see that you and I are working together to try to create that, their confidence builds more. Is that enough of this one, sir? Is an idea about what to do? Don't forget, I'm passing on what I had to do. Not necessarily as a right or wrong. I don't know what it is. All I know is you decide that later on. You see it. Good. Let's take out, I think the next in line, I'm trying to dance through this. Can you figure that out? It was, I believe, you stood it off. I don't know what to do. Oh, I gave it to you. Did I give you mine that stood it off? I gave it to you to do that. I gave you mine to do. Did you find your direction? And I see some mouths looking like this. I like those mouths. Start together. You see like this. Now we've learned that if there's a dotted note followed by an eighth note, there's a little bit of space. In this piece of music, put that space in, but make the length of the notes as long as you possibly can. And now apply everything that we've done. Mezzo di voce. I'm not going to go through this. You all know it. Ready? So, excuse me, what does staccato mean? Separated. Short is not the word, it means separated. You know, and the students need to know this. The staccato means separated. So, the staccato for a quarter note is different from the staccato for a half note. There's more length, and the length should be enjoyed. Go, E, set, go. Quarter notes have a length, half notes have a length. I can't conduct that. It's not that you can't, it's that I can't. So that means you have to sing together. Einstimmig, ready, and go. Stop, mezzo di voce. Go. time. Go. And now, don't forget that cloud. Would you all say cloud? Good. That's not how you would sing it. How would you sing it? That was it. So let's do that once again from the beginning. 5, I know. And thank you. I want you to hear enough of this because I think that these pieces of music that we find in Alliance that you and I studied when we were studying voice are now being brought about in choral harmony. That's appropriate. I think that Alan Raines is doing a great job of stuff with this, and especially with the fact that they're bringing these alive. How do we get kids to fall in love with this kind of music? I can't talk to them about love. They don't know anything about it. Plus, I get mixed up in a mess and stupid and whatever. It gets just kind of stupid. But what they do know is, and what you can tell them is, the earth was different when Brahms was here. There wasn't a whole lot of electricity. What sounds you might hear was still related to horse-drawn carriages. Silence was actually present, except for mockingbirds and other things that got in the way. But what they experienced at that time was different from us. Students of all ages can identify, people of all ages can identify with what happened then if we take them there. Does that make sense? We have to take them back to where Strauss lived. It's completely different. They have no concept. They're completely tied into iPods and phones. Phones. I keep this because it's a gift from the Utah State Choir. I can phone my music there. I won't put it on my phone because I treasured the Utah State Choir. It was a marvelous experience. I have one of those little iPods like this. I said, I held it up to it. There's 400 or 600 of them. I said, here's my iPod. And they always take up a collection and give the director a gift. That's 600 kids. You give you a quarter. I mean, that's $400. So I get a new iPod out of it. And I'll keep that, and every time I turn it on, I'll remember the Utah State Choir. So, anyway, but I think that's enough of that basically. Just know that in order to get them to fall in love with this music, and that's what Marcia and I have been talking about, that's why you put your mask on first. If you're not in love with what you're doing, how can you possibly get them to be that? And that's why we come here. Marcia and I are headliners. Hogwash, I'm going to go listen to everybody else work. Because I need as much of fist shuffling art as you do. They need it. And so you must take care of yourself first. Let's finish the process all day. The choir in Denver, I've never heard this. Some have heard this before, but this was a huge stretch for them. They haven't sung that much a cappella. And I forced them into a cappella by singing a cappella from the very beginning. And then if there was a part that was wrong, like alto might have been difficult at the beginning, I'd go like this. Open your ears, alto. Go. Stop. So they would hear that first. Does that make sense? I wouldn't let them sing. They always want to sing while they're doing their part. Listen to it first. Then the next thing I would do is have them sing the part, and when they wouldn't sing it in the musical style they want, I would stop and let them do that. So they're learning everything all at once. This is Dr. Eric Feather in several books talking to you about how the human mind can take on a whole bunch of things at once, and we compartmentalize it too much. Here's your picture. Stop. Like this. Still a little bit more crescendo. My God. Oh, this is the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. God. Go. Keep up with it. Set your vibrato at 2. Yeah, what, 0 you hit, John? 1.6. 1.6. So we're bargaining now. 25. Yeah. I forgot my speech. Please, listen to those. You hear them all on every note? I don't care whether the note has a flat note, it's a whole note or a half note, just whatever the message emoji is, it's always there. Always there. Love it. Go. Go. If you don't learn anything else, please sing Here, I'm doing that. Ready? Kilafe. Most places, please. Ready? Everybody's. Key. Sorry. Penny, sorry. Ready? Go. Again. What's the important words in that? Fe. Re. De. Re. Got it, right? Fe. Re. De. So now, mezzo di voce with text emphasis. I have to quit. I would love to do Key. If you don't like that, there's something wrong with it. I have to quit because it's that time. On this session, what I wanted to do was show some of the historical things that I've had to go through, but the only way that I could accomplish everything was to make sure that they were armed with enough tools that the melody gets, as it gets higher, it gets louder, and lower, it's softer. That mezzo di voce is the vitalizing life of whatever espressivo means. Here we would talk about, my God, that's the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. It's just past me. I don't know how I get that to them, except maybe talk to them about blurry pictures and about how in Impressionism, the word Impressionism is a derogatory term. That's not a real painting, that's an impression of a painting. That's what they were told. And it became Impressionism. It became part of what we were. So those things tied together. Mainly, thank you for letting me turn you into a tourist for a little while. I don't know how else to do anything or to present except to just do it. And so these are the things that I would do, the things that I would approach, and how I would approach